his presence in the room. And then he was standing right beside
This thing must really scare people off. Getting fewer and fewer people. I know.
where two or three or the other.
But they have to be mental.
That, what were you about to not say?
So it's not easy. Oh, where this thing? It's not easy trying to summarize this book, so I just kind of pick and choose stuff.
No, it isn't. It could.
Yeah, I hope you realize. So I'm gonna editorialize a lot.
That's why we hired you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
Is it?
yeah, you're good.
You know what chapter we're finishing?
Yeah, in a minute. Yeah, we're gonna be at the end.
Like 42?
Yeah, like 42, or actually 38. Yeah, actually 38. And let me pray, because this is being recorded, so it might, for posterity. Father, I just pray that your word be spoken, not Dr. Brown's or mine or anybody else's, but that your word be the thing that's predominant here. And I pray that it would set people free from legalism, from not trusting you, from confusion in the body of Christ. And that the goal is that they would trust you and love you with all their hearts. And I pray that is what happens with this word. In Jesus' name. So I broke this thing down. This is just me. Into, the poetic part of Job, where you have the friends talk. Thought that was kind of a good way to do it. And I dealt with the breaking and the friends last time. So the last part is the glory. Does that make sense?
It does.
So the book, the divine speeches is what Dr. Brown calls them, and it starts at chapter 38. I'm just going to summarize it real quick. I wonder if I got it. So chapter 38, verse 1. And this is where God comes in and messes all things up. Then Yahweh answered Job from the tempest and said, "Who is this who darkens counsel with words without knowledge? Get yourself ready like a real man. Now, this is Dr. Brown's translation, okay? It'd be different from yours, but they're all good. I will ask you, and you will inform me, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding.
Who knew that God could be sarcastic?
It's really true. Who established its dimensions, if you know, or who stretched out a measuring line over it? On what were the bases sunk, and who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the divine beings shouted for joy. At last, after a lengthy speeches of Elihu, which themselves follow the poignant and painful interaction between Job and his friends, much of which consisted of Job's longing to bring the Almighty to court in order to prove his innocence, the Lord himself now speaks, rebuking Job and asking him how much he knows about God and his world after all. This is the Lord basically telling him, do you really think you can lecture me? Yet the Lord's speeches do not focus on the issue of justice, or do they address the problem of suffering? Eesh, what's up? He doesn't answer. That's an answer right there, whether you like it or not. Instead, they extol the majesty and sovereignty of God, especially in the celestial realm, pointing to the orderliness and providence of his creation. Things are far from out of control. Now, I'm going to do a shameless plug here. And in the commentary, Dr. Brown says, what ancients knew by their limited observations, we now know through scientific observation, namely that the universe is carefully ordered, intelligently designed, with its nearly infinite parts working together in intricate mathematical precision. And the reason why I bring this stuff up mainly is for our youngsters, is because they are so indoctrinated with this stuff, they don't even know that it's even possible that evolution isn't true. It's the discussion is shut down in academia. It's shut down. You're not allowed to question it in the United States. And so we have young people stumbling, I know of one, because of this stuff. Well, how can this be true? And well, it's science. And they don't realize it's really opinion. It's bias. So even Dr. Brown says that what the Lord is saying is that I've designed this thing. My handiwork is in it, and it's precise. So I this is my bias. I recommend this book by Dr. Meyer. He's one of the original proponents of the intelligent design movement, and it's really good. In the opening chapters of it, I haven't read the whole thing, but I read most of it. He points out one interesting fact, which I think is true. I don't know if you guys know about the 30 Years' War in Europe in the 17th century. Well, who were fighting? The Catholics and the Lutherans. 30 years of Christians slaughtering each other. 30 years. And you know there were some provinces in Germany where 60% of the population was eviscerated in Germany? 60% of the population in some of it. So they're saying people got so fed up with Christians killing each other, that's what propelled the Enlightenment movement. Well, there's got to be something else. And the Enlightenment movement, of course, is methodological naturalism, where everything has to be explained by nature. So, we are experiencing a crisis in this country of being told by the priests of scientism and by Christians totally opposite things. It don't make no sense. And so the kids are having to choose between one or the other. And when they go to school, that's all they hear. I hear of kids that have been going to, church all their lives. 6 months later at college, and they've lost their faith. 6 months. So it's a really serious thing. And this emphasis here, you won't hear much about it, but it is completely contradicts all that stuff. What the Lord said is true. It's orderly, it's mathematical, and it's improbable that it was by accidental.
Same questions that God was challenging Job on, he is challenging the world on today.
I think that's what it is. So I recommend, this one is not so heavy, okay? It's not real academic, and I think just for college kids, this would be good. I do. Because he's finally bringing out, look, there's 3 major things that they're telling you demonstrates evolution or self-orderliness, that nature automatically can self-organize. And he said it's not true. So I'm going to plug it a little bit. Beginning in the 19th century, many intellectuals began to insist that scientific knowledge and traditional theistic belief, that science and the belief in God are at war. See, now, you'll hear the previous president say it's at war with, Christianity's at war with science. Actually, it's the exact opposite. I mean, one of our presidents said that recently. Philosopher of science Stephen Meyer challenges this view by examining 3 scientific discoveries with decidedly theistic implications, building on the case for intelligent design of life that he developed in Signature of a Cell and Darwin's Out. Those are other books of his. Myers demonstrates how discoveries in cosmology and physics, coupled with those in biology, help establish the identity of a designing intelligence behind the life in the universe. It establishes it. And one more shameless plug. This is probably the most, it's very technical, but it's probably one of the best treatments you can give to a biology student in college, and they'll go, why wasn't I told this stuff? It's about the Cambrian explosion, which Darwin himself said, if they can't explain this thing, then my theory is bad. And it's true, they can't explain it. Of course, that was a period of time where all life just arose automatically. And it makes no sense. There's no precursors to it.
Evolution used to be taught as a theory. It's not anymore.
Yep. They've actually redefined some of our terms to make it work, like morphology. They've actually redefined it to point to evolution. I know of an evolutionary biologist up in Michigan, I think. They threaten people. He said, if I hear of anybody talking about this, he took a picture of some silver-tipped boots, and he says, I'm going to give it this. Some teachers, they threaten people. There's a professor at UCLA that opened up a T-Rex bone and found some tissue in it. They fired him. I mean, it was like, well, it's there, but they fired him. There was Professor Stromberg at Smithsonian. He put the term intelligent design in one of his papers, and they fired him. Truth? I mean, the discussion is shut down, people. We can't talk about it in America. We can't. So the kids are being brainwashed, literally being brainwashed.
Jesus says in John chapter 8, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And while that's true, the truth will also destroy the lie. And that's what they don't want.
That's right.
So when our kids, this is a basis that they're operating from, and our kids are being taught this in high school, in college, that there's no alternatives. Because of the foundation that's being laid, and because we're accidents or random acts, well, what happens to your moral structure? Human life is marginalized. There is an anti-human movement going on right now.
They took the Bible out of schools. And
All of that.
Harry Potter in.
Yeah.
So it really is a cultural, it's destroying the foundation in America particularly. Now in other countries it's not so bad, believe it or not. In China you can openly dispute Darwin, you can. And they do. Not in America. So when you have that attitude, well, science has proven it's all, then the authority of the Bible is thrown out. And to make it worse, to make it even worse, this is a heavy duty. You go to Christian colleges and you're going to have theistic evolutionary biologists. And what that means is they're doing both. They say, well, they're both true. And many prominent Christians insist that the church must yield to contemporary evolutionary theory and therefore modify traditional biblical ideas about the creation of life. They argue that God used, albeit in undetectable ways, evolutionary mechanisms to produce all forms of life, featuring 24 highly credentialed scientists, philosophers, and theologians from Europe and North America. This volume contests this proposal. This is heavy. This one is. But this thing is worse than evolution because it says we got both. And they're not contradictory, but they are. So that I saw some professors posting their stuff at Christian colleges saying that they're theistic evolutionists. It's like, what? The Christian schools are pushing this stuff right now. And so the Discovery Institute, who does the intelligent design work, put this book out to say, you guys are completely confusing this thing. You know what it is? It's peer pressure. Because if they fight against it, they're going to lose their grants.
We've reduced God to a theory that we can understand.
So
That needs to be held in awe.
I think whoever watches this, who's in biology, ought to read this thing. Now, you don't challenge them at school. I even wrote Dr. Meyer's office and I said, when should kids start doing that? He said, wait till you get your PhD, then go after it. He said, before that, if you do, you'll be canned. I asked him, I said, for Anna, I said, can she bring that up at school? He said, no, don't do it, because you'll be in trouble. You'll be blackmarked. So, anyway, that's where it's at in America, and those three books are really, I haven't read this one. The other two I have, but this is very technical, though. So, and that's what you need to for this stuff. But I recommend this for some of the college kids that are doing biology, myself. And to say that science doesn't agree with this is completely wrong. You guys know this guy? Ever heard of Isaac Newton? Heard of him? Apple. He's one of the most prominent, even now, prominent scientists that ever existed. His theories revolutionized the world. This is his quote. The most beautiful system of sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. he's still recognized as one of the most substantial scientists in the world. Now, this guy is a big evolutionist, and he is a celebrity scientist, and I was really blessed. But he's honest. It's really refreshing. One time, they're having a real problem in physics right now. They are so confused. The science of the small and the science of the large. And he just said, hey, by the way, if any of you understand this, will you please let us know, because we don't understand it. It was good. Anyway, Michio Kaku is one of the big celebrity scientists. You'll find him on TV. And he's honest. I have concluded that we are in a world made by rules created by an intelligence. This is a physicist. One of the most popular physicists. Believe me, everything that we call chance today won't make sense anymore. To me, it is clear that we exist in a plan which is governed by rules that are created, shaped by a universal intelligence and not by chance. Yeah. Now he's alive. he's alive. I think he passed away. He's alive. He's the current guy. So this is a popular physicist. Once they look at all this, they say, well, it's intelligently designed. And that's really refreshing. Michio Kaku, I think he graduated from NYU.
So is he now then saying that he believes in intelligence design?
What that means is a wide open. Just getting to that point is miraculous, because then you have to start examining what that means.
I mean, I'm wondering is if because intelligent design is not popular in academia.
Not at all.
So I wonder if he realized when he said that it really is saying he believes in intelligent design, or if he's actually now saying, I believe in this concept. Does that, my question make sense?
No, he's saying that it has to be that way.
To me, it is clear.
It is clear.
It didn't just happen.
It didn't, but that's what Darwinism is pushing, is that it's accidental. Everything is accidental and random mutations built on long periods of time. So, which is actually a bad thing for biology, just to let you know. So anyway, so this just shows you where it's at nowadays, okay? So that's the shameless plug for all that stuff. And then we'll just jump to Job's response to God when God showed up. Chapter 40, verse 1. Then Yahweh answered Job and said, will the fault finder contend with Shaddai? Let the one who reproves God answer him. Then Job answered, Then Job answered Yahweh and said, look, I am completely insignificant. Now can I reply to you? How can I reply to you? And now I put my hand over my mouth. I have spoken once, I will not speak again twice, but I will not continue. Then Yahweh answered Job from the tempest and said, get yourself ready like a real man, and I will ask you, and you inform me. So I think Job is humbling himself. What do you think? Maybe?
So he's saying, okay, I get it, I'm nothing. Thank you for reminding me that again.
And why did he have to do that?
Well, because you don't know how proud you are
Until it's like with the Lord and Abraham. It's not that God didn't know what was in his heart. He was showing Abraham what was in his heart. And Abraham was squared away. He would even give his son up, which is pretty remarkable. I don't think well, if I knew it was the Lord, maybe different, but giving my son up like that?
When you're in the presence of God, things get real quick.
Is that your trademark or something? Real. Job's response is appropriately humble. Look, I'm quoting him, I am completely insignificant. Literally, I am small in the Hebrew. What else can he say in the light of the massive distance between him and God in terms of both wisdom and power? What made him think for a moment that he could lecture the Creator? There's no way he could respond. Instead, he covers his mouth in silence. He had to say this, and he will say no more. He has had his say, and he will say no more. Where am I here? To be sure, this is about Job's response, his cry for justice was not out of place, nor was his desire to protest his innocence. And as we will see, there was truth to his accusation that God must be indifferent if he stood by idly while his creation suffered. Or still worse, God must be wicked if he actually caused all the suffering. Since this does not reflect accurately on the character of God, his error was to have the temerity to charge God as guilty and insist on taking him to court, rather than saying, I know you are a compassionate creator and a merciful God, and I cannot understand how a just Lord like you can allow the wicked to prosper and the righteous to suffer. Nor can I understand why I am experiencing the fate of the wicked. To have said that would have been fine, but in the midst of his personal agony, which was only exacerbated by his friends, it was. We got to be careful that we're not making things worse for people because of our, he calls it rigid orthodoxy. Job lost sight of God, who was overstepping his bounds in a very serious way. And all this brought about the divine rebuke. Does that make sense? Kind of?
God's either good or he's not. And if the definition, the goodness is defined by God, not by our emotions. And it's so easy to lose sight of that when we're feeling bad.
And that's the point, I think. Job chapter 40, verse 8, the Lord's second speech to Job. Would you dare impugn my justice? Would you condemn me so that you would be right, so that you would be right in the right? Do you have an arm like God, and can you thunder with a voice like him? Adorn yourself with majesty and exaltation, and clothe yourself with splendor and honor. This is God talking. Can you do that? Scatter the fury of your wrath, and look at everyone who is proud and bring him low. Look at everyone who is proud and abase him, and cast down the wicked where they stand. Hide them in the dust together. Bind their faces in obscurity. Then I will confess to you that your right hand can save you. Now we get the heart of Job's error. As the Lord asks him if he would dare impugn God's justice. Would you condemn me so that you would be in the right? Although Job might not have the articulated things in the same words, this is the undeniable implication of Job's position. He's blaming God for this. And then we'll go on to verses 9. Where did I go? Too far. Nine through 10. Reinforcing the absurdity of challenging the Creator, God once more puts Job in his place. This is chapter 40, verses 9 through 10. But not simply saying to him, Job, look at how big I am and how small you are. Instead, his point is, only as being as great as I am, only a being as great as I am has the power to judge the earth and punish the wicked. It is entirely out of your grasp. The Lord asked Job if his power, his arm, or his thundering voice matches God. If so, the Lord says, adorn yourself with majesty and exaltation, clothe yourself with splendor and honor. Raise yourself up in majestic splendor, Job, and demonstrate to the world how